generally on quadratics, circles, solving quadratics, applications of quadratics, all that good stuff. There is factoring in there, obviously, because you have to factor to solve quadratics, right? But it's not exclusively on factoring. There are radicals in there because there was a little bit of radicals in the beginning half of this chapter. It's not exclusively on that, though. And then, as always, your warm-ups, or not your warm-ups, your spirals are a good indication. So I like 10 because, read that quickly. Given a function, algebraically find all the values of x that solve the equation f of x equals 15. Okay? Undoubtedly, half of you would probably just plug 15 in for x. That would be if they asked for f of 15. If they wanted to know the value of f of 15, then you'd plug 15 in. They're not telling you that. They're telling you that f of x needs to equal 15. This whole thing needs to equal 15. So when you make that 15, now you have to solve the quadratic, yes? Get it equal to 0. Factor, if you can, so that'll be 0 equals 2x squared minus 13x. What's 36 minus 15? 11 plus 11. Did I do that wrong? 21. 21, sorry. Now, is this factorable? Are there two numbers that multiply to get 42 and add to get negative 13? Negative 7 and negative 6. So yes, if those numbers exist, it is factorable. You can use those numbers to split the middle term and group, or you can guess and check, which is what I'm going to do. Has to be 2x and x. 7 and 3 is not going to work. 7, 3 won't work. That'll be 14 and 3. But 3 and 7 will. 3 there, 7 there. And they're both the same sign because it has to be positive 21. And the middle being negative tells us they both have to be negative. So our two values, algebraically find all the values of x. Our two values are x equals 3 and 7/2. I just teed that up in my head. Are we good with that? Okay, number 11. I don't think I've ever seen a question presented this way, but it's solved. So what should we do first? Distribute. And I think that would be most of your instincts anyway. And then again, at this point in the year, we're pretty limited as to what we know how to solve. What is this thing? Is it a linear? No. Is it a quadratic? No, because we have an x cubed. So it's just some other polynomial, and we talked about this already today. The only way we know how to solve something like this is by factoring. So get it equal to 0 and try to factor it. I don't like my first term to be negative, and that's my first term because it's the highest exponent. So I'm going to add that over, and I'm going to subtract the 75x over. So I have 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 75x minus 50 equals 0. The only way you guys know how to solve this algebraically is by factoring, and factor this by grouping. So we take out an x squared, left with 3x plus 2. What am I taking out of here? Negative 25. Do you know why negative, Mitch? Well, it's the leading term is a negative. If the leading term of your group is a negative. Okay, so what are my two factors? Yeah. 3x plus 2 and x squared minus 25. Now, what do you notice about that? Not done. Difference of perfect squares factors into x plus 5, x minus 5. And then I'm going to tee this up, and I'm going to have how many solutions? 3, negative 2/3, negative 5, and 5. By the way, I can tee this up here, couldn't I? Because I'd get x squared minus 25 equals 0, I'd get x squared equals 25, and what do I do to both sides? Square root, and anytime you take the square root, plus or minus. So I would still get that, but I'm trying to get you in the habit of factoring completely because that's better, okay? To get you to notice those things. For when it does say factor completely, if you didn't split it up further, you'd get it wrong. Now, this 12b gives us a function for height on the other side. So I'm just going to copy that down. Negative 16t squared plus 80t. Oh no, plus 340t. Where did I get that from? Plus 8. That's my height. They want to know when it's above 1,000. So what does that inequality look like? If they want to know when it's at or above 1,000. Okay. We don't know how to solve inequalities except via our calculator. So I'm going to type in negative 16t squared plus 340x plus 8 as one equation and 1,000 as the other. You guys can just watch because you're not have time. Let me just fly through this. My window, because my y coordinate is 1,000 and my y is height, I'm going to go from 0 to 2,000. And then x is time, so I'm going to go from 0 to 30 and see what happens. There's my parabola. And then I'm going to trace this intersection and this intersection, and between this x-coordinate and this x-coordinate is when I'm exceeding 1,000. Okay? And the last one we're not going to do, but we have a system of a circle and a what? Line. Okay? You always have to start by getting an x or a y all by itself. Okay? And you're always going to do that with the linear one. So if I subtract my 2y over and divide by 2, luckily both of these are divisible by 2. So now my x equaling 5 minus y, I can plug into there and do the solving from there. Clear? We did enough systems on last night's homework. So your answers are all there? Test tomorrow, finish this for homework.
You want to
You can keep it on this where there's room.